Drop.6x from Monica Filtration. This is going to be a really short open the box and install the Drop.6x from here into the famous dirtiest Goldwater freshwater tank that ever existed. You might recall this is the same aquarium that the very first upflow algae scrubber was installed or tried out or videoed or whatever, I guess about 4 years ago. That's the same goldfish there on the left, the same one to swim through the first bubbles of the world's first upflow algae scrubber, so he's doing good. And the whole point of this tank is to keep it as dirty as possible, just like lakes are. Lakes and lakes around the world are all dark or black. There are no clear lakes. So the whole point is that the algae in the lakes is what makes them dark. And the algae, of course, is what filters the water. So trying to duplicate that here. So anyway, going to add in this Drop.6x right there into the water, which also has a, right there in the front has a hog. Oh, look at the goldfish eating out of the hog. He's learned to do that. If you have fish that eat algae, they'll pull it right out of the side of the hog scrubber, or out of a drop scrubber if it gets long enough. So self-feeding. I never have to feed him. Okay, so anyway, here's the install. So again, this is the Drop.6x. Let's see, you can see that. Maybe. Okay. So anyway, you have your instructions, of course, and in your instructions is the little syringe that you can use with water or vinegar if you need to clean out the tubing. Here's your color pictures of slime growth, which we include because some people don't know what slime growth really looks like. And so it's really simple. You have your scrubber on the inside, and your power supply, and somewhere there in the bottom is the cord. Okay. So probably can't read this here, but the still pictures will show it that it's usable in. This is usable in 120 volts and 240 volts. So the little computer cable just comes undone like that. Okay, so this is the figure 8 cord. If you're in Europe or someplace with 240 volts, just throw this away and use one from your computer, and it plugs right into the figure 8 hole, and so you're putting 240 volts in. It works just fine. But you can also just cut off the American plug and put a plug of your type on there from the hardware store. It works just fine. Alrighty, so of course you have your, this is the Drop.6. The .6 has green grabber textures only in the back, and it has a weight here in the front to keep it down from floating. It has two LEDs, 1 and 2, and they're pointed more or less to the middle of the green grabber surface. And of course you have your air tubing coming in, and goes to this little pivot, comes down to the bottom, and then goes behind the green grabber surfaces and comes out here. And you have two little slots, two little tiny slots where the bubbles come out. And later on, when there's growth, we'll maybe pull this out and clean it. But you shouldn't have to touch it when you install it, except for maybe checking for bubbles. So let's do that now. I have the cord here plugged in already, so that way I don't have to be undoing the cord. So there's your .6x, two LEDs on, so we can just go like that. What I'm going to do is let me just unplug this for a second. I'm going to put it back here and drop it in the water, and I'm going to route the cable over here so I don't drop it in the water. Okay, so now let's turn the bubbles on. This is the standard Fusion 700 pump that we've been using for just about everything, which we sell separately. Got both of the outputs connected together. You don't really need to do that on this small scrubber. You could run two of the scrubbers off this, but I have them connected together here just because we're using this for testing. And we'll start off with low, and then we'll go to medium and see where it's at. Okay, so this is pretty much how it comes out of the box. So if you need a pump, you can order the Fusion 700 pump also, but any small air pump will work for this scrubber because there's only two tiny little outlets for air. Okay, so I have the pump on, I don't know, low or medium, I guess. Let's turn off the light so we can see. I'm going to hold it up to the glass here. The glass which has never been cleaned in 4 years. So that's not too bad. Let me see if you can see it on the camera. Yeah, I guess so. Okay, so that's not too bad. There's a little more bubbles on the left than the right, but I think we'll just keep it that way. Alrighty, so you just close it. Now, this is the 0.6x, so it does not have a plate on the bottom here, so you cannot set this on the ground. The 0.6 and the 0.6x do not have a plate, so you cannot set it on the gravel. You have to keep it lifted up a little bit. The other models, the bigger ones, have a plate and you can set it down if you want to. We're just going to suspend it. Okay, now let's plug it in. Of course, it's on a timer for 18 hours of light per day. Okay, I guess that's it. We'll probably just keep it on the end here, and we'll do some growth pictures as we go along. So that's all you have to do, is just keep it from setting on the bottom. So if you have a nano all-in-one aquarium, or you want to set this in your goldfish tank, or you want to do anything like that, dangle it up near the top or near the bottom. Any place is fine, as long as the bottom is not touching the gravel on this particular model here. Now notice you have the bubbles on the inside, okay, coming up here, and that's fine if that's what you're looking for. It makes a little bit of bubbling sound, of course, so if you want to get rid of the bubbles, or if you have salt water and you don't want any salt spray, or you want to reduce the sound to as low as possible, then just do this. Okay, can you see that? All you have to do is just support it so that the top part is just barely out of the water, like that. Alrighty, so I think you can see that it's about 1 centimeter out of the water, and I've just laid the tubing over, and just the weight of the cord is keeping it up. But of course, you could put a little thing on it, or wrap it around something, anything to hold it in place. If you do want to set it on the bottom of, say, your all-in-one sump or whatever, just put a small rock or something in the bottom so that the 0.6x will not sit flat on the bottom, because you need that circulation in the bottom. So let me turn off this light here and let's see how much red light's coming out. Okay, well, so a lot of people have seen the hog scrubbers, so you can see the light coming around the edge of the hog scrubber here on the right. And for comparison, on the left is just the little dots, the 2 dots there on the bottom of the drop 0.6, and just a tiny little bit out of the top, but most of it goes out the bottom. So if it's in the back of your all-in-one aquarium sump, it's going to be a non-issue for the most part. And so you can see the goldfish, he likes to swim through the light to see what's going on. He's looking for growth that's come out of the holes. Of course, there's not going to be any coming out of that one yet. He gets it all from the hog there on the right. So turn the light back on. That is it. So I'll probably change from leaving it up high to maybe moving it down to get a little circulation. I don't have any water pump or anything in here. Everything's done from the scrubbers, including the feeding for the goldfish. The little white Cory cat down there, he needs some pellets, but the goldfish eats mostly just algae, pulling it out from the holes of the scrubber. Alrighty, so we'll check back with some growth pictures and maybe a harvest video, but we'll get some growth pictures going along. And I hope you like your Drop.6x from Santa Monica Filtration.